Rock. I'm here with the usual suspects, and we also got Chop from Sucka Free MC with us today. How you doing today, Chop?
It's another beautiful day in paradise, man.
Yeah, yeah, it looks like it, man.
They know where to ride to, though. Everything's closed, so
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
So hey, so Andar, what are we doing today?
Well, what are we doing today? I'm actually drinking in a parking lot because everything's closed. So I don't know. No, I think we're gonna cover some prospecting, some probating stories from our times, and maybe some do's and don'ts or tips and tricks, whatever you want to call it, for guys that are maybe thinking about hanging around and what prospecting might be like for them and shit like that.
Hell yeah. So lead us off, man.
Why do I have to do it?
Because it was your idea.
That's a good point. All right, so yeah, I mean, what do you guys want to get into first? You want to start with some prospecting do's and don'ts, tips and tricks, stuff like that, or do you want to tell some stories?
I really just want to get in and listen to how to be in a 1% club. You gotta commit at least 9 felonies to probate.
Oh, so I guess we want Tragic to lead this.
Yeah, well, I don't know about 9 felonies, but I mean, at least we get treated like you need to have that.
I think we have a good episode today because we have a lot of guys that come from kind of different backgrounds of clubs. So I mean, there's kind of just a wide assortment of what fucking might be what somebody else could experience. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys want to do first? You guys want to tell us some stories, or you want to be like, hey, as a prospect, you should not do this, or you should do this?
Let's do some do's and don'ts, and I'm sure some stories will pop up as we go.
Yeah, do's and don'ts is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
It's different. That's a lot of questions we get a lot of time in the inbox over on Sucka Free MC. Is that we usually get guys who have started prospecting, and they'll kind of ask. At least I've seen a couple times where guys have been kind of like, I don't want to say like have an attitude on their or chip on the shoulder, but they're kind of like, hey, did I do this right? And like looking for reassurance. And so a lot of those times, it's about just basic stuff too. And so I think that's a cool spot to start with do's and don'ts, because a lot of times, we get at least asked a lot, am I doing this right? Am I prospecting right? Those guys looking for validation want us to say like, you're doing it right, buddy. Your club's just being jerks. When it's usually, it's not. It's usually those guys are just fucking, not being very humble and aren't ready to learn.
And I think too, it's something that we talk about a lot at Sucka Free is like, prospecting is like, I mean, it's a two-way street. Like you have to know, you have to be right. Don't jump just because somebody offers you a prospect patch. And I hate to say it, but nowadays you'll see clubs that do that, man. They want numbers or they want dudes and they want this and that. So they're going to offer you a prospect patch or a probate patch and you're not ready for that shit. And it's as much on you to recognize when you're ready as it is on your sponsor or your club to be like, let's bring this guy to the next stage.
Oh, look how many times we get in the inbox, man. Like I said, guys who are asking like, hey man, these guys are offering me this. What do you guys think? And I always assume that the guy actually really knows the answer, before we even tell them. They're just looking for us to reassurance. And how many times we have to tell them like, hey man, why don't you think about it a little bit longer? Why don't you just, really consider all the ins and outs? And then a week later, they'll message us back like, thanks, man, really appreciate you, telling me to wait. Ended up those guys are assholes and fucking, one of them did this and that. And,
Chop's joining us. If you want, you don't have to give out your club name or anything like that. Whatever you're comfortable with. What kind of made it a right fit for you? What made you want to hang around? And when they started talking about bringing you on to prospect or probate, how did you know it was the right fit for you?
Man, I knew. Like, y'all talk about how what brought you into this and how you knew this is what you wanted to do and whatnot. Just bikes in general, MC shit in general, and. I always felt like this is where I wanted to be, you know what I mean? But I didn't want to be in a support club, and I knew that I was in no way, shape, or form ready to just like take the leap straight to the big leagues. I just wasn't ready for that. I didn't know shit. And my club came to me just by coincidence. And when it did, I mean, a non-support, interracial, doesn't matter what you ride. I mean, to me, it was the foundation of what MCs were supposed to be. So I said, hell, what do I got to do? You know, I knew that I wanted to be in a club. I knew I wanted to be something bigger than myself. And it just kind of fell into my lap. So I didn't leave him alone. You know what I mean? I just kept reaching out, kept like, hey, what's up, man? What are we doing? What's going on? And before I knew it, it was put in front of me. One thing here's a prospect, do or don't. Talk to your family, talk to your old lady, okay? Because I fucked up. Okay, I got married 3 days after. She knew that I'd been talking to a club. She knew that I wanted to be in a club. I'd sat down with another club one time prior and realized they were just all fucked up, didn't want nothing to do with that. So she knew I'd been looking for something and knew I'd been talking to some guys. Well, I got married, and 3 days later, I came home as a prospect. And there was no, hey, how do you feel about this? Nothing. So prospecting itself is hard enough, okay? I'm a member of a 99 nation that is, standalone 99. We've been around over 2 decades. But that alone in itself is hard enough. Doing it for any club is hard enough. If you don't have your support at home, you just made it 10 times harder, because you're going to be out trying to do prospect shit and learn shit and pay attention. And it doesn't work because home's blowing you up and you're going home to deal with that. The conversation in the beginning is worth the support throughout the process. It took my old lady well over 2 years to come around to the club. She hated everything to do with it. It took well over 2 years.
If you don't mind me asking too, like now, from my understanding, is you're in a leadership role with your club. What is something that you try to pass on to the new kids or to people that are hanging around your club or maybe are getting ready to make that next step? What's kind of some stuff you pass on to them?
So like y'all say, man, just to think about it and know that that's something you want to do, because it's all fun and games from the outside looking in. Like, all you see is 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours of guys hanging out, you know what I mean? Prospect running here or there, You don't see the behind the scenes, middle of the night having to get up and go because somebody's broke down the side of the road, or the conversations and the knowledge that happens, the sacrifices that are made across the board. Like how you'll want to get off work and go home and sit down and have a beer. About that. You get off at 5 or whatever time you get off. Hey, man, we need you out here at this time. We got something going on. Or go out here and help this bro work on his bike or whatever it may be. The sacrifices that go across the board, and to understand the commitment level that you have coming in. Now, the ones in my nation, I'm really big with dealing with prospects and chopping it up with prospects and teaching them as much as I can. Like, we go to events or whatnot, and other chapters will make it a point that their prospects find me. I'm a dick to prospects. I'll admit it. Okay, straight up. I'm a dick. But every one of them, when they patch in, are happy that I was, because they learned something. Because being a dick's pointless. Being a dick's just don't be an asshole for no fucking reason. If you give me a reason to be an asshole, I will be. But otherwise, and I just want you to learn, do well, succeed, be a good addition to this nation. You know what I mean? Because I miss prospecting.
Oh, it was a love-hate relationship for me, man. That like you said, you're right. Like, when I think back of when I was prospecting, there was some brothers that, fuck, man. You saw them and you're like, it's gonna be a rough one tonight, man. It's just knew it. But some of the ones that were hardest on me are some of the ones that I love the most now, because they would grill you on some shit, but they'd grill you like with a purpose. You know what I mean? It was like breaking you down to build you up. So that shit's dope.
So what's it like, prospecting for a large 1% club? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, fuck, man. It's not for the faint. It's not for the faint at all. Like Chop said, if you got family stuff going on, so just a little background, as far as mine, like, I had talked to my wife, we had already married, and I'd been part of a smaller club, and I let her know that I was thinking about going, the direction I went into, to a large, international, 1% club. And she had reservations, and anybody who says like, and there's tons of guys on there who act like, oh, I don't ask my lady nothing. I do what I want. She gets fucking right. Okay, so I know some of the toughest fucking baddest dudes on the planet. They still go and say, hey, babe, this is going to happen, and go through that conversation because nobody wants that headache. And you can't get through it if you're a family man or married without that support, and expect that those relationships are going to stay intact while you're prospecting if they don't know the full deal, that you're going to be gone for weekends at a time. You're going to be that you don't have your own personal time. When you're not at work, you are on your club's time clock. So that's a real hard one for, I think, a lot of people to understand that. That's the big one we get questions about, like, oh, I want to prospect, but what about my job and this and that? Yeah, you're fine. You gotta be able to have work, because you can't be in my club if you don't have a job, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not financially set up. So having that support, being ready to for your old lady to understand, because they're not going to get it. They're like, well, what did you have to do? They think you're out partying all night. No, I came home and my feet are one giant blister. I can barely walk. I'm fucking exhausted. It's just you don't have any time to turn and ask them how their day is, because you've been up for 24 hours. So that kind of commitment of just your time loss, knowing that you're always exhausted and that you can't really contribute much to anything else other than your prospecting when you're doing prospecting.
What's it like prospecting with young kids? I know you got a couple of little ones at home, or younger kids anyway.
Yeah, it was tough, man. But luckily, I did what you guys were talking about. I had a lot of conversations with my chick about it and what the expectations could or might be, and she understood. And her thing was, whatever makes me happy, as long as I'm there for the important shit. That's what mattered. So it was still tough, man, because you gotta look at kids in the eyes the next morning, and it's just like, well, Dad, why weren't you? Yesterday was like, Friday nights at my house, Daddy Snuggle Day. If the kids want to fucking come in here, we'll watch TV until they fall asleep, whatever. It's like, why weren't you here for Daddy Snuggle Day, Dad? And you got to look at your kids and tell them, I chose these other people over you that last night. That's why. So that's the tough.
You tell them.
I mean, I didn't say it like that.
God damn.
But you know what I'm saying.
Fuck your 3-year-old feelings, right? Like, Daddy, I'm 30. Well, I chose other people over you.
Yeah. Because fuck you, crotch goblin. That's why.
You must know my dad. Fuck.
No, my kids know what I look like. But no, I mean, telling them like, look, like, I've got important stuff to take care of, and that's why I wasn't here for whether it's Daddy Snuggle Day or I didn't make my fucking famous pancakes on Saturday morning. Like I had some stuff to take care of, and I think for the most part they understand. To be honest, like I'll have to, like I'd just get home, sit down, my phone will ring, and I take my phone, and just kind of like tilt my head back. Fuck, here it goes. And I get up and grab my cut. It's like, Dad, Dad, football, then I go.
Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, kids or no kids, part of it, and I think that's where there's that misconception a lot of people have, like, I could never put, my club first before my family and this and that. There's a balance. There's a balance. I've always been taught that from the brother that brought me in, who he's, in fact, one of the brothers I admire the most for this ability to make sure that his family is squared away, his job is squared away, and his club life is squared away. The dude's masterful at compartmentalizing his life and making sure that, each part is getting 33% of all of his effort, and balancing it out. So a lot of guys get, scared, like, oh, how could I pick with my family over this? You just have to be smart about it. There's going to be sacrifices there's going to be stuff you can't go to for the club functions because of your family. There's going to be things that you're going to miss, family events for the club. It's just a balancing act.
Yeah, I think what I hear most is dudes saying, oh, well, it's work, family, club. It's got to be in that order, family, work, club, whatever. And, that number one spot gets switched out a lot.
Yeah, I don't. Me personally, I don't believe. A lot of people say this. You know, they always say it's got to be family, work, then my club. You know, from the 99% side of things, I usually see guys saying that, and they traditionally believe that all one percenters believe that it's club, family, work. You know, that we always put the club first. I think it's different. I think it's each individual. I know guys 1%ers who are like their families first no matter what. I know guys who are 99%ers who put their club first before their family. You know, it doesn't matter. There's no distinction in that aspect. It's just an individual thing. And your club is there if you want to dive into it and just go. It's real easy to do. It's real seductive, especially when you're newer, to just throw all of your energy into that shit and forget that, you know, hey, you got kids at home, hey, you got a wife at home. It's learning to balance that shit out, man. That's it.
Yeah.
Man, I took, like you just said, when I got in, this is one thing that I stress to prospects coming in now is when I came into this shit, and like I said, I'm part of a 99. I'm not on that level, but I came into it and went head first. I mean, I about lost a marriage. I lost my house. I lost my job. I literally was due and didn't tell the club any of it. Like I went about it completely fucked up from the get go. I went about it wrong. And I tell prospects that off the bat. Looking back, would I do it differently? Yeah. But at the same time, no, because like I learned, you know, this is not the way to do it. And I can teach others that. But I mean, like you just said, Tragic, like it depends on the person, you know what I mean? But at the same time, your club knows whether it be 1% or 99, unless they're just a bunch of fucking assholes, they know when you need to be at home. You know what I mean? Like if there's something, it doesn't matter how serious some shit may be on a club level. It doesn't matter what the fuck. If they know you need to be at home, they're gonna turn you around and send you home. I mean, that's just in my experience, at least. You know, I'm not trying to speak for all clubs, but in my experience, at least, if something's fucked up at home, they're gonna send you home because if your home life's not right, you're not gonna be any good to the club because out and about, you're not paying attention to anything because you're stressing about other shit. Your mind's everywhere else. You know, you're not any good to any of them because you can't get away without knowing you got fights at home to go back to. Like, you have to have a balance. You have that balance, man.
Yep.
It's hard to get, you know, it's damn near impossible to achieve. I mean, I've been in this shit for years and I struggle with it all the time. All the time.
You know, I actually have an example of that, Chop, of a club knowing when you need to be home and sending your ass home. It was actually for, I forget which one it was, but it was for one of my wedding anniversaries with my wife. My former club had gotten into a little bit of trouble with another club, and we were trying very much to just hash it out because it was basically a misunderstanding, right? We wanted to make a big representation there to show like, hey, we're all on the same page. You know, my members, my prospects, we're all on the same page. We want to make sure you're all on the same page so we could just dead this shit right now. And when I heard the meeting got set up for roughly 3 hours after my dinner reservations were, I was like, babe, I'm sorry, but you know, this is some serious shit. I gotta go. And she had called one of the wives. Ended up being, she had no idea that she was calling my sergeant at arms wife. My sergeant at arms was blowing me up. Finally, I got to the end of the block. My music kept cutting out, so I picked up the phone. I was like, "What, man?" He's like, "Hey, man, today's your anniversary." I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Go the fuck home. Like, we're fine. It's not gonna, you know, the meeting's not gonna fall apart because a prospect didn't show up. You know what I'm saying?" Like,
Right.
You know, I was like, "Yeah, I really want to be there. You know, like this is important to the club. It's important to me." Blah blah blah. He's like, "Well, check it out. If you show up to this fucking meeting." Because I knew when the time and the fucking address was. I was like, if you show up to this fucking meeting, I'm pulling your fucking prospect cut. You can hang out for 90 days as slick back, and then you can apply to fucking prospect again if that's what you want to fucking do. So I turned my ass around and I went home.
Hey, what kind of biker makes fucking dinner reservations?
The one that's married to a classy bitch that likes to go to classy spots.
Yeah, man.
Hey, Tragic, how many bullets do you need in a 1% probate kit or prospect kit?
A 99, exactly.
You know, I think we have some good shit going on. So who wants to tell us a story from their prospecting, probating time.
Let's hear it from you, Andor. Let's hear about your time.
My time? What do you want to? You want to hear a story? Or you want to hear about my experience probating?
Let's hear your best prospect story.
Yeah, my best prospects. I don't know if I can share the best ones. I remember.
Well, this is emotional. Allegedly, this is what happened.
Yeah, right? So allegedly, right? I know we've been kind of talking about our clubs and shit like that we're a part of, and my perspective would be, you know, in my area, it might be different for other people in different coasts and shit like that, but like I prospected, I probated for a support club, affiliate club, you might call it, shit like that. And that's just kind of how things are here in my area for the most part. And so it really, what I got out of it and what I took away from it, what I continue to take out of it today, is it kind of gives you a way to what I call OJT, some on-the-job training of seeing like, is that next step, like Chop talked about, is it for you? Is that a place you belong? And I think something that Tragic brought up and something else is, you know, really you can kind of break this stuff down almost in like degree levels of like education. Like, you know, there's certain things where like learning how to balance the club life and your personal life and stuff like that is an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree. And then seeing like what somebody like Tragic is able to do, or his brothers and other 1% clubs, like that shit's like a master's degree level, a graduate degree, a PhD of being able to fucking make that work, home life, club life balance. And that's just something I know that me personally at this stage of my life, I'm not able to do. I wouldn't be capable of it. And, you know, I think that my experience and where I'm at has allowed me to notice that without making the mistake of trying to step up where I'm not even fucking ready to go. All right, now you want a story, huh?
Yeah, where's a good one?
All right, so let me think. I don't know, like what I can share.
We're all like, what can I say?
I think something Tragic hit on earlier too is like, you know, I think people think, you know, that aren't involved in the life, they might think that it's all. I think that cops for me because I'm drinking in the parking lot. You know, they think it's all, you know, Jax Teller or whatever, and really, like Tragic said, a lot of times when you're prospecting, I'm not saying it's the same for everybody, but most of the time you're just fucking dead on your feet. You are standing in some fucking place that you don't want to really be standing, and there's 100 other things you'd rather be doing, but you're going to be standing there and probably getting like, if you're at an overnight run or some function, like an hour of sleep, if you're lucky, 2 hours of sleep, and then standing right back in some dumb fucking spot you don't want to be standing in. But that's kind of some of the mundane shit that you do as a prospect or a probate. And I remember one time we were somewhere and I was pulling security and stuff like that. And I didn't know it. They sent over this dude. He was all civilianed out, right? Like no identifying tattoos, no fucking identifying clothes, no shit like that. And I was guarding the spot. Nobody could get in or out unless you had like, we'll call it the secret password to get in and out. And this dude, I don't know, he had to be like Tragic size, almost 7 foot, like 300 pounds. And he's like, I'm coming in. I'm like, no, you're not. He's like, I'm fucking coming in. And I'm like, now, please don't. Come on, man. Like, I've been up for 14 hours. I got like 10 more hours to go. I haven't eaten. I've had some water. I got to pee. Can you just please not fuck with me right now? And I was like, he's just going to run me over and there's nothing I'm going to do. And then I'm going to get yelled at because this big 7-footer ran me the fuck over. And he looked at me and he just started laughing. And he's like, nah, man, go take a potty break. I'm going to fucking look out for you for a minute. So I went and pissed and came back. And the guy ended up, long story short, he could be there. He should be there. And he was looking out for me. But I was like, yeah, biggest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. He's like, I'm coming in there. And I was just like, man, fuck, please don't.
Yeah, man.
It's like me trying to bow up the Tragic.
Yeah, hey,
listen, man, please.
Like I've been here 14 hours already. I got like 10 more to go. Just leave me the fuck. Come on, just go somewhere else. Go bother someone else.
Yeah, man. I remember that. That just being that tired, and if something comes up and you're like, fuck, I don't have it in me to try to make critical decisions right now. Like, I don't, you know, I'm dying on my feet. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I'm cold. I don't know who the fuck this is. Like, dude, I can't tell me that's like a daily when you're prospecting.
And like, you know, like I'm not going to throw shade at anybody else, but like, you know, for certain clubs, you might have other chapters that don't have as many probates or prospects as you do. So you're pulling work for them and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you need to find some new people, God damn it.
Yeah. You know what? I do have a story I can share. This one I think fits in as far as like the benefit of prospecting. So when I first started prospecting, there was a lot of prospects around that same time, and you know, you're so caught up because when you're prospecting, you know, it's kind of a selfish time if you think about it. You're trying to do your best to sell you. You're trying to say, hey guys, like me. Look at, I work hard. Notice me. I'm a good worker. I'm a good guy to potentially be a brother in the future. And you really get kind of focused on that, you know. And so if another prospect fucks up and then you get busted and you're stuck doing push-ups with him or doing whatever, you know, that causes a lot of tension amongst that when one guy starts fucking up, you know. And just being tired and you're just like, fuck, I'm tired, and you don't want to engage really with anybody. But there was one night where we had a party, and it was, dude, that was such a brutal weekend. The first day, when I talk about feet swimming in blisters, this was the one, man. This fucking almost broke me. And if I give a tip to any prospect out there, fucking footwear. Make sure you get some of those liner soles. You know, make sure you got all the powder for your fucking nuts and your ass and your feet. Fuck, those are key things to have.
Can we get a sponsor here from like Dr. Scholl's or something like that? We're
Right?
pushing hardcore.
Yeah, the prospect version insoles. Dude. So, you know, it was brutal. And then the next day we got hit. So we were up for almost 24 hours the next day, go sleep, you know, a couple hours, and then come back and bust out at another 20-hour day. And it was fucking hot as fuck. We're dying. And it was real early on when I first started prospecting. And so I didn't have that, like, you know, the longer you prospect, the longer you're just like, well, fuck it. You know, this eventually ends. Like time loses its fucking, you stop just counting time, you know, on events. You just learn you're going to go home when you go home. Don't look forward to a specific time. But everybody was just dying. Everybody was so tired. Everybody's blistered. Everybody's sore. I had like my steps on my phone measured something that I did like 22 miles of walking in like that first 8 hours or some shit like that. It was absurd. It was crazy. And after it was done, one of the guys said, hey man, let's go around the corner and grab some tacos. You know, and we're like, everybody's like, I don't want to get fucking tacos right now. I want to go home and just sleep for a week if I can. And one of the brothers, you know, overheard and was like, hey man, pulled everybody aside. You guys want to go get those tacos. He's like, you guys should spend some time. I know you're beat. I know you're fucking tired. I know you hate everything and everyone right now. But when you guys get off, go sit down, eat, have some food together, bullshit. It's these moments that'll get you, you know, help bond. You know, this is where you guys can kind of sit there and bullshit and talk to each other and kind of reflect and bask on everything. And so we did that. And it was good, man. Like the brothers I prospected with, I love those brothers. You know, I love all my brothers, but the brothers I prospected with, there's an extra tight bond with those guys, especially after getting to commiserate, you know, and sit there and just bullshit with how the weekend went for them, and knowing that everybody fucking suffered, and you kind of start looking at it from each other's eyes, and you get out of that one, you know, that individual's point of view, you know, start looking at it like, hey man, we all fucking busted our ass, we all did this, you know.
Hell yeah.
All right, Punk Rock, what do you got for us?
So really the only memorable thing for me, it was the same situation that happened twice. But the second time it happened, I patched in. I was a pretty good prospect. I reached out to a lot of people. I learned really quickly, so they didn't really fuck with me too much because, you know, they'd ask me a question on protocol or history or something like that, and I'd be able to just whip it out real quick. Like I said, this happened to me twice. The second time I ended up getting patched in. My sponsor calls me and says, hey, where you at? Say, hey, like, I'm in my garage, like, hanging out. What's up? He's like, all right, cool. Stay there. I want to show you something. I was like, all right, cool. So he comes screaming down my street, and he turns around, and he reaches into his fairing. He had one of those little fucking Memphis Shades fairing, whatever fuck. And he, like, holds up my cut and then rolls it back up and then, you know, stuffs it in his fairing and, like, waves at me, like, come get it. It takes off. So I had to chase this motherfucker all around San Diego County twice for my cut.
Wait, how did you get your cut in the first place?
Yeah, I'm getting to that point. So like I said, the second time, I'm just talking about the second time. The first time I ended up having to go to his house, we almost fought. And then the second time, we pull up in front of the spot where it's kind of like our designated spot for, like if a dude don't know how to sew, and you're not going to teach him, then you take it to this spot. They understand MCs and all that shit, so like they just do the work right there in front of you. And I get off the bike. I get my helmet off, but I left my gloves on. And I started walking up to him. I was like, bro, what the fuck? Why do you have that? That was in my fucking closet in my goddamn bedroom. And he just like started backing up. He had his hands up and then he just like opened up his cut a little bit and then just took the patch out and then just kind of like flicked it at me. He says, hey, congratulations, brother. I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, we're going to fucking talk about this later. Like, I'm going to be happy for me, but you and I got some fucking problems.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
So, well, he ended up leaving the club.
Yeah, that's crazy. I can't wrap my brain around somebody coming into your closet and going into your room and touching your stuff.
How the fuck did it get in your house without you knowing?
So he hit up my wife on Facebook and was just like, hey, like I can't tell you what's going on, just know it's good, but I need Punk Rock's cut. And she's like, well, no, sorry, like you're gonna have to take that up with him when he gets home and da 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 da. So eventually she wore him down and was like, look, like the motherfucker's getting patched in today. I want to fuck with him because I never really got to fuck with him as a prospect. This is what I'm gonna do.
Oof.
And she was just like, dude, he's not gonna like this. She's like, but I'm gonna fall back on that's club property and he's not a patch holder, so I'm gonna play naive. But I mean, she was cool about it. She didn't fucking tell me nothing till we went back to the. Let's see what he was my P. So yeah, we went to my P's house for my patch party, and she was there. So she fucking knew about it, and she told me about it then. But yeah, that ended up starting a lot of problems. So for patch holders with prospects, don't fucking do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's creative, but I would have a lot more concerns than I would enthusiasms about that one.
Yeah, no wonder you're kind of like bittersweet on that moment because it's like, yeah, I got patch, but at the same time, like, what a clusterfuck.
Yeah, nobody else really knew until I said something about it, and they're like, wait a minute, that really fucking happened? Like I thought he was kidding. I'm like, no, I'm like that's actually how I got patched in. They're like, and like everybody at church just kind of looked at him like, why the fuck you in this man's house without him there? Like, what the fuck?
And too, I think it kind of ruins it for you because, like, I mean, I kind of get what he was trying to do, but like, I didn't want to get patched in by one member. I wanted to have kind of everybody there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and luckily, like I said, so that was like the spot that we all kind of like. If you didn't know how to sew, you went there, and it was pretty much for any club because they respected us enough where like if they were doing a job for somebody and they're going to be there in a few days to pick it up, they'll push that aside, get your patches sewn on for you real quick, get you out the door. In front of you, like they'd let you walk around the counter with them, so like you maintain fucking contact with your cut.
Hey, Tragic, can you tell us about you getting patched in?
It pretty much looked like what you saw on that Lisa Ling. That's what it looked like.
Was Lisa Ling there? God, I love her.
No, I was not there during that time frame. But yeah, we have our own ceremonies, we have our own thing. That night, my patching night, man, fuck, dude, it was brutal. It was like, you kind of suspect, things are going on, and you know how much time you've had, and I can tell you that there's no fucking other better feeling. That's still to this day, that night, that moment, that was still the proudest moment of my life.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't, but it was surreal. Like, I'm not a guy who gets all like caught up in the moment of feelings and stuff like that, but I kind of like was just dumbfounded. And I didn't cry, but I could see how like some people get so happy they cry over that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like I just was overwhelmed. And it's still to this day, that feeling. I can't. The weight that lifts up off of that, you finally have made it. You've finally proven yourself. But like Chop said earlier, man, fuck, I still miss it sometimes. I miss your phone gets real quiet. once you're done prospecting, compared to when you were prospecting. Would I go back and do it again? If I had to, would I be stoked on it? No, it's easy to miss it when you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience, and it'll tell you what kind of man you are.
Hey, Chop, what was it like for you getting patched in?
About like Chaggy said, I mean, it's just something, it was fucking, I wish I could tell y'all all about it. I really do. But, y'all know how that is. I can't say I was fucking exhausted. I wanted to go home. It's not where I wanted to be at that time. But when it was all said and done, just, man, fuck, like, I was fucking thrilled. I was happy. Everything was worth it. The first thing I did, like as soon as I put my colors on, first thing I did was get in my sponsor's face and cuss him out for every fucking thing he was worth. I laid into him. First words as a patch holder were in his face, fuck you, laid out. Because he was a fucking dick. He's where I got being a dick to prospects from. And as bad as that sounds, like he had a purpose behind a lot of it. Some of it was fucking pointless. Just some of it was just him just being an asshole. But most of it, the dude knew his shit. And I wish that things hadn't turned out the way they had, but whatever. But first thing I did, cussed him out for everything he was fucking worth, and he just laughed at me. Like he's just like, I knew it was coming. Just I was waiting on it. He laughed about it, and it just the ride afterwards, and that first ride. It doesn't mean shit to the public because they don't know a damn difference. They just see motorcycles and clubs. They don't know prospect, patch holder. They don't know shit. But when you do that first ride with your colors and your bros and just the feeling, it's like, man, it's something that you can't describe unless you've been there. Like, I wasn't in the military, you know what I mean? I didn't do any basic training. I didn't do any of that shit. Props off to y'all, or, hats off to y'all that did. I didn't, but closest thing I can compare it to was that. You got a bond with men that went through that same shit, and then you may have went through basic at, this week, and they went through it 30 years ago. You still got that bond of it because you went through it. So that first ride with everybody, that's almost like a high you'll never reach again. And I don't know if I can put it any other way than that right there. It's fuck. Man, that shit was beautiful. I'm getting on. I need a drink. I'm getting.
All nostalgic.
I'm telling you, man, because it's something that like you try to explain it to a civilian or somebody who's thinking about prospecting, or hell, even a prospect. You try to explain it to them, and they think they get it. They think they can wrap their head around it, but at the same time, it's just one of those things that you don't, until all those nights of wanting to be at home, all the, the miles you done put on your bike, the money and gas, and just all the physical work you've done, when it's all handed to you on a piece of fabric, you can't put it into words. Like the moment, you can't. Until you've been there, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
A lot of anger.
I think you brought up a great correlation, though. I mean, for a lot of us, it's exactly like the same thing that we got in the military, whether that's graduating boot camp, whether that's some fucking school that they send you to that you graduate. Like, it means more the farther up the ladder you go, like achieving something. So boot camp was hard and you achieved it, and you wanted to stand next to those people that achieved it with you. Or if you get sent to a school, you want to stand with those guys because those are the best. And that's how you view your club. Like your club to you, if you're prospecting anyway, should be, the best to you. And that's fucking why you're there. And you want to stand with those guys.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's fucking.
Hey,
yeah. I think we're all in our feelings right now, like thinking about like back when.
I wasn't been thinking about it just since we started talking about it. Like, man, like just those feelings about it. Dude, one of the things for prospects that I definitely wanted to make sure I passed on to this one is everybody prospects different amounts of time, right? We talked about this briefly, in the comment section on Sucka Free MC. Someone mentioned something about, prospecting for 6 months, and someone's like, 6 months, like you should do at least a year and this and that. Dude, every club has got its own program. It's different for each individual prospect. It's different chapter to chapter. And you can't quantify that you prospected better or harder based on something like a metric like time. You know what I mean? There's dudes who could prospect a year and then work as hard as some dude who prospected 6 months, for a different club. It's different programs. And same thing, like even inside your own club, some prospects are going to get it faster. Some prospects are, already know what's up. And I remember for me, that was like a resentful thing for a moment there. I was like one of the last in my class to finish up. And, I'm a smart dude without, not trying to be braggadocious, but I've always been, ahead of the curve, compared to the average bear on using my brain power. And I thought, fuck, man, I should be able to get through this, before such and such, like, why am I having, I'm busting my ass, I'm doing all the right things. You start questioning yourself. And I realized one of the things that I had is that I had a fucking chip on my shoulder. I didn't realize it till later. Like, I thought I knew what's up. I thought I knew everything about everything, that I was humble. And one of the things that I didn't realize is I had a chip on my shoulder, that I thought I was a little bit better than some of the other prospects. They're not as sad for this. They don't know this. They don't know that. And that's why I'm kind of thankful that I got fucking humbled by being, the last of my class. Because it took that to happen to me to think like, well, fuck, what was it? What was going on? And I don't even know that is what it was. But I know that looking back, I know for sure I had a chip on my shoulder and thought I was better than other prospects. And you're not. You're all equal, no matter what your talents are versus the other ones.
Yeah, I think a lot of us that go from one club to another kind of have that when you're, especially if you're looking at somebody that has not prospected before.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know the two dudes that I was going through with, they were still pretty new. They were only like under 2 months. We'll say that. But I had already been, I was an officer in another club, so like I knew what the drill was. I knew all about fucking trick bags. I knew all that dumb shit, and I was just kind of breezing through. And I think that was kind of the same thing with me, and why they patched in probably close to 4 or 5 months before I did, and we started prospecting around the same time, even though I couldn't really get fucked with. But I think it was because of my attitude, where it's just like, no, I know this. I don't need to, I don't need to do all that. I knew that. And they're like, all right, well, you can just go ahead and keep wearing that fucking prospect tab till you fucking show me that you can do this, not that you just know it,
Yeah.
I think in the comments section too, like on Sucka Free, Tragic brought up a good point where he was like, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, whatever, and one club could be like 5 years in another club. Like you said, it's not for you to quantify if it's not your club. Like it's for them to know. And you'll see some clubs too. Like not every club out there is the fucking greatest thing since sliced bread. Like there's some bullshit clubs that'll give you a prospect patch, when you don't need one, when you should be in the hang around phase. And they're like, well, we're gonna run them for 12 months, so that's how we'll get to know them. Like that's what the hang around phase is for, both unofficially and the official hang around part of it too. But they're just throwing a fucking prospect sticker on. I'm like, well, we'll fucking get to know them that way.
Yeah, which is, and that's another thing, like that hang around phase, like you said, official hang around and hang around, hang around phase, traditionally, like what we used to talk about is the hang around phase was the club selling itself to you, and the prospect phase was supposed to be the prospect selling himself to the club, and then at the end, if everything works out, then you join two together. Dude, hang around phase isn't really like that anymore. Hang around phase is like prospecting, pre-prospecting. You start kind of getting taught up and seeing what's happening. I don't know, they're not expected to do anything. They don't have to, but that's where you see if there's that hustle, if they really want it. So it's different for different clubs, but
One of the down things that I've seen for some clubs just being on Sucka Free, and by no means does this qualify for everybody or blanket statement, but some clubs are literally out there to puff their chest about how they can outfuck a prospect, and to me that just defeats the purpose. But literally, see guys in the comments, well, my shit, we did this to a prospect, or we ran him for this long, or he was a hang around and we made him do that. And, to me, I'm like, why? What do you, by beating that man down, like, what are you accomplishing? That he can just do whatever you say, that he's a robot? I don't
You gotta remember too, this is a future brother. Like, that's why I don't get like a lot of that old shit where people would like, old days, put hands on prospects, degrade them, fucking, there's old stories, guys getting pissed on and fucking being made to eat fucking gross shit and just doing whatever the fuck. And I'm like, why would you want to humiliate a grown ass man? Because he's gonna remember that, one day. Like Chop said, he jumped up in the face right away, like, hey man, here's some of that bullshit. You don't want to be later on down the line when your prospect is now the new P, and he still remembers what a piece of shit you were to him.
Thing is, as a patch holder, man, if you're asking lessons to patch holders with prospects, don't ask a prospect to do something you haven't done or you're not going to do right beside them.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just, if you want me to go clean the bathroom, cool, man. Did you clean the bathroom? I mean, like, it's the principle of the matter is we are still men, one and the same. You still put your britches on the same way I do, one leg at a time. We still men in this. The understanding of I'm trying to earn something is, that's understood. But at the end of the day, we both still men doing this shit. So that whole degrading shit, I'm glad that's for the most part died off in a lot of clubs, But like, to go back to prospecting deal, you can't. The guys that come on talking about like, I'm not going to prospect, or I don't need to prospect, yada yada, whatever. Okay, all right, you think that way. Prospect and join a club, especially a nation, and then meet somebody that didn't prospect, and tell me how you feel. That's one thing you can share with every patch member you see, whether it be, because my nation does shit different from chapter to chapter. I had a prospect with me when I was with my chapter before I, stepped up in the nation. I had a prospect that was with me in my chapter that rolled every fucking where with me. That son of a bitch was on his feet, on his scoot. He put in the miles, he put in the legwork, he knew his shit. He was a fucking good prospect. I tell him to this day when I hang out with him, like, I miss you being a prospect because you were a golden star, you were the shining star for me to brag about, but I couldn't tell you. But he saw other chapters patching prospects that, he didn't feel were ready. He wasn't his right to feel if they were ready or not. He wasn't a patch, but they hadn't prospected as long as he had. They hadn't worked as hard as he had, So it made him resentful at times. Once he patched in, I explained to him why. Every chapter is different. You're not part of that chapter. But when you do it, and I've met men in my nation that didn't prospect, that was like, I don't know how, I mean, let's work, let's see if we can build a relationship then, because I don't know how I feel about this right now. It's just,
can we just bring up the fact that he said britches real quick?
Hey, man, look, I'm a redneck, white trash motherfucker. Let's go ahead and throw that out there for the audience. Okay, there you go. You can't see me, but I look like a racist meth head, more or less. Like, let's be honest with you. I mean, I don't care.
Hey, but your smile looks great, brother. Your smile looks great.
Hey, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, whoa. Whoa! I wasn't ready for that. Jesus.
You just took those motherfuckers out.
You know how many beers I've won with that shit?
God damn.
Hey, man, I bet you can't touch your bottom lip to your nose. I bet you a beer I can, and motherfuckers over here trying. It was semi-secret. I guess it's not anymore. So.
When we were having Chop on, I was not ready for this. I know, look, Chop is a great dude. Chop is my man. We've had some pretty fucking deep talks, especially like right when I came on staff, man. We were both going through some tough times. We were helping each other out. I was not fucking expecting this.
Hey, can we keep Drifter off and just keep Chop on now?
Damn.
He's gonna have to listen to the whole thing to hear that now.
Oh,
Well,
man.
we need somebody with a good hairline on here, so we got to keep Drifter.
That's
I mean, I don't have a lot of hair, but it's there.
I had to leave. I know this isn't MC related at all, but I was leaving work early. This was probably 2 or 3 months ago because I wasn't feeling good, and my work chat was kind of blowing up, and then all the people that work for me, they were getting close to shit talking, but then they backed down because I was the new guy, so they didn't know like where my line was. I was like, guys, just go ahead and fucking light me up. Like, I get it, it's fine. And the lowest ranking dude in my shop hit us up with EO1's hairline throws back hard on Thursdays. Like, this motherfucker.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need to keep Drifter on to keep it aesthetically pleasing.
So, that's a good show. What are we gonna do next time? I don't know if we can fucking. This is a pretty good one.
This was. I think drug sales and murder, man. I think it's probably a good one.
I mean, you know what? We've got.
I can't trade any secrets.
We're drinking in parking lots. We got Chop taking his fucking teeth out. Tragic's got 99 bullets and a prospect kit. Like, we're just covering everything. Like,
Yeah.
You guys got any tips for the prospects on any specific trick bags?
Oh, don't do that.
Dude, there's so much that I wish I could just like spill out. Like, hey man, don't do this in a clubhouse. Don't do this in format.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, if you're gonna, if a prospect comes up to you or a hang around comes up to you and says, hey, like, what's the number one thing that we that you would tell somebody? I think the number one thing. Yeah, I think we just lost Chop. But we're kind of.
Hey, Punk Rock, let's round robin that. I think that's a good point. Like, let's go around to finish this. Let's go around everybody and ask you like one piece of advice you'd give them.
Mine would just be yourself, because there's no reason for you to be a hardworking, solid dude who fucking studies protocol and history and tries to learn his club for however long you prospect for, and then when you patch in, you become this piece of shit that doesn't show up for anything, that doesn't know his fucking protocol, or doesn't practice the protocol. Just be yourself, because I would much rather know that I'm getting a guy who, has problems in certain areas and be able to work with him on that than for somebody to just fucking play this game for however long they prospect for and then patch him in to find out that the guy that was prospecting for me isn't the brother that I got.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tragic, what do you got for me?
Biggest set of advice for prospects. To me, it's twofolded. Don't take it personal. Any shit you got, any crap you got, you didn't get it because they thought you're a piece of shit. This is the test. You got it, you don't. And if you're gonna bitch out because someone was mean to you and hurt your feelings, well, you probably aren't, cut out for this life. You know what I mean? So that's a good place to figure it out. Don't take it personal. And then the other thing is, you just got to put one foot in front of the other. There's an end to it, and that's the mindset, the mind game, the mindset you have to have is one foot in front of the other, and just keep pushing yourself.
Are we done with prospect stories?
Yeah, we're giving one piece of advice that you would give to a prospect.
All right. Well, here's one, because it kind of falls into a prospect story. This is one tip of advice I will give to anybody that is prospecting or thinking about prospecting that your sponsor can get mad at for me later. I don't really care. Don't sit down in the Dominance Clubhouse as a prospect. Okay.
Well, don't sit down.
I learned this the hard way, and man, you want to talk about a moment where I didn't know what the fuck was about to happen? Granted, I learned something. Like, it was a big ass setup. You know what I mean? Like, it was a big setup, but at the end of the day, I learned some shit, but it's not some shit like I don't. Oh man, like everybody else has said, man, be yourself. If you come in with a chip on your shoulder, it's just gonna make your shit that much fucking harder. Like it ain't no point. Everybody can see past that. You come in with your chest bowed out, and like, there's a saying that some of the guys in my nation use, and real eyes recognize real guys, and it's not hard to see that chip on your shoulder is fucking pointless. It's gonna make your shit harder. Don't come in trying to be a badass. Be yourself. I can ride your motorcycle. I can reach out, hang out. Know there's an end. Like it's all gonna come to an end. It's worth it. Everything you don't get it. You won't understand 90% of what's going on until you patch in. And then your first year of being a patch in, it'll all just start clicking at random times. And it all makes sense. And you get it. And then you just repeat the cycle with the next round. It's a beautiful thing. It ain't easy. Make sure you understand what you're committing to. And have the conversation at home before you make the commitment. Can't stress that enough.
Good shit.
So what you got, Andar?
Oh, mine's just simple. Mine's not gonna be nowhere near as eloquent as what Chop just put down. But for me, it's find that balance between confidence and being humble. You'll see prospects, probates, and that are maybe two balls out, too cocky. And the guys that think that because they're a prospect now or probate, everything's got to be to the max, like humble or almost like it comes off almost meek. So I think, find that balance between knowing what you bring to the table. Cause like Tragic said, you didn't get that rocker, you didn't get that prospect tab because they didn't think you were ready. You got that for a reason and have confidence in that. But at the same time, don't be that guy walking around with his dick out all the time, and thinking that you represent the nation or your club now. So it's important. Find that balance between, being cocky and being humble, because getting elevated to that next step can definitely pump up your ego a little bit. Somebody thinks you're worth it in this club that you love to take a chance on you and hand you this, and that can inflate you a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with that. You should have immense amount of pride in that, but don't let it take your feet off the ground. Stay humble too.
Oh yeah.
But don't let them push you around. Yeah, you be confident that you brought good shit to the table.
Still a man first.
Yep. Man, I feel like as 3 patch holders and a former patch holder, we could probably sit here the rest of the fucking night giving tips and shit to prospects, man. It's just, God.
Well, I like this episode too because it gave flavor from a little bit of everything. Like we said, Chop is coming from a nation that's mixed bike, mixed race. Tragic is coming from one of the largest 1% clubs. You've got your background. I come from people might know it as a support club or they call it an affiliate club or whatever. So it's just kind of a background of a lot of different shit for people to relate to.
Yeah, well, and we'll touch back on the topic again too. We got to get some of those stories out of Drifter from the historical club background.
Yeah, absolutely.
No shit. Yeah, but I mean, he was around for almost all of that history, though.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You gonna sign us out here?
I'm gonna wrap this up, but I do want to give our listeners a little something here. Just know that by the end of the year, the 4 for the Road Cats are getting together, and we are going to do a show together, all in the same room. And I'm really excited because there is going to be so many things wrong and so much inebriation, and I think we're all going to enjoy that a lot.
Don't make them think the audio is going to get any better. This shit's not improving. All right, we're just going to be closer.
No, I'll just bring my laptop. I think I come through pretty clear. So yeah, the audio might be better for that one episode that you guys will get at the end of the year.
Yeah. I don't know about all this inebriation. It takes more than a White Claw for me, man.
Oh,
hey, motherfucker! Does that look like a goddamn White Claw to you? You big son of a bitch!
I don't know what that is.
Oh, step your game up, little homie.
Oh, there
Full
we go.
disclosure for everybody at home here. I only feel safe talking shit to Tragic because I'm 2,300 miles away from him.
That's right. Figured out how to
That's
reach
because
the
it's like his left thigh is bigger than you are.
Probably. But he also dresses to the left. You know what I'm saying? So of course it's bigger than I am. So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to us ramble today. Chop, thank you so much for everything that you're doing for Sucka Free, man. Your article is great. Thank you for coming on the show. And yeah, guys, don't forget, check us out. If you like reading our shit and you just tolerate listening to our shit, go check us out on Sucka Free MC. It's an online magazine full of biker stories, protocol, history, funny fucking memes, whatever the fuck you want. It's on there. You also check us out on Facebook and Instagram. We don't really post on Facebook, but it'll let you know when we're getting a new episode up. So thank you guys so much for all your love and support. And we'll be back to you sometime in the near future with another set of bullshit. Y'all have a great one.